Good afternoon and welcome to Midcap Radar live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studio. I am Vamakshi Thoria and with me is Vivek Iyer. Well, Vivek, very good afternoon to you. There is absolutely no doubt that this is a good-looking screen. All the ingredients are in place. The tensions in West Asia have de-escalated. President Trump is hinting at a trade deal with India. So that sort of explains the kind of gains that we've seen not just today but over the last couple of sessions.
Absolutely right. Good afternoon. Vamakshi looking to end the week on a very strong note, and we've started off the July FNO series on a very strong note as well. Vamakshi, we've got a few important conversations lined up today. Let's start off with the top headlines. Well, stocks gain with mid-caps leading the charge as hopes of a trade deal with the US rise. Oil and gas along with PSU gains are the big gainers while realty drags.
CNBC-TV18 learns from sources Rajiv Anand, Axis Bank, Rahul Shukla of HDFC Bank, Anup Saha of Bajaj Fin are the three candidates in the reckoning to lead IndusInd Bank, and these names will soon be sent to RBI, which may fast-track the approval.
JSW Paints will snap up AkzoNobel's over 74% stake in its India business for nearly 9,000 crore rupees and will also make an offer to minority shareholders at 3,417 rupees per share. The deal will make it the number 4 player in the highly competitive paint sector.
Jio BlackRock has obtained the certificate of registration from market regulator SEBI to commence stockbroking business. The move can stir things up in the fast-expanding business.
Torrent Pharma gains after JP Morgan upgrades the stock to an overweight rating with a target price of rupees 3,800 rupees a share. The brokerage firm says that it expects growth momentum to continue.
Well, 25,630 thereabouts is where the Nifty is at, approximately 3% away from its all-time high of 26,277. The Nifty Bank has managed to hit an all-time high today as well, and broader indices are actually leading the charge today. When we look at the mid-cap index, last I checked, it was up almost 0.7%. It has sort of cooled off, up almost 0.5%, but still doing quite well. Most sectoral indices as well doing quite well. All of them mostly are in the green, with Nifty PSU banks leading the charge. On the flip side, Nifty Realty this whole week hasn't been doing quite well. For now, the Nifty Realty Index is also down and out in trade, but lots of individual stocks are moving around in trade, and to highlight just those, we have Hormas to take us through a special segment, Midcap Movers.
It's the perfect Friday, the perfect week to round off the broader markets, even though there have been a slight cool off from the highs. But still, it's been a fairly good week for an otherwise outperforming broader market as well. You take a look at the top gainers then in that space, and you'd see Prime Focus after a block deal that took place earlier in the day, 20% higher on that stock. Himadri Specialty also at the highest point of the day. SML Isuzu is up 10% in today's session, and Godfrey Phillips too having a very strong session, up 9% in today's trade. Some of the other movers in the broader markets today, and so it's been that kind of a day for the gas names as well, the oil and gas names, particularly the gas stocks, MGL, Gujarat Gas, GSPL, all of them trading with gains of anywhere between 5 to 6%. On the flip side, as Vamakshi just highlighted, Realty is not having a very good day. In fact, it has not had a very good week in general. And look at all of these names at the lowest point of the day, 1.5 to 3% lower on these names, from Oberoi Realty to Macrotech. On the volumes front, there are names like HEG that are doing the rounds today, 3.5% higher after that brief spike that you saw. It has cooled off from those levels. There has been a substantial hike in volumes. Raymond Lifestyle and Elcon Engineering too doing well for themselves on the volumes front. And lastly, stocks that are not doing well in today's trading session, some of them are bucking the trend. At Confidence Petroleum, it just won an order, and since then it has recovered slightly from the lows. But TD Power and Timex, ever since that OFS was announced, continues to grind lower, another lower circuit. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Hormas, for joining in and giving us a sense of all of the stocks that are moving around as far as the broader end of the markets are concerned. Well, we can do a quick market check. The Nifty continues to hover around the 25,600 mark. What's not doing so well today is the Nifty IT pack. The Nifty IT pack has seen a bit of a dip, especially a name like KPIT Tech, remember, which fallen almost all days of this particular week, especially after the profit warning that the company gave. But before we slip into a short break, we'd like to remind you to tune in to the all-new CNBC TV18 Prime, bringing you insights from policymakers, business business leaders and economists shaping both the world and India's future. CNBC TV18 Prime decodes global shifts and their impact on Indian businesses, giving you unparalleled insights. Tune into CNBC TV18 Prime at 12 noon for the Global Reset, at 1 p.m. for the Big C, and for the Global Lens at 8:30 p.m. Welcome back to Mid-Cap Radar. Well, we are now shifting focus to the logistics and warehousing sector. We are now joined by Vineet Agarwal, who's the MD at Transport Corporation of India. Thank you so much, Vineet, for joining us. Well, first up, we'll have a look at the macro picture. Last couple of years, what has been the growth rate as far as India's logistics industry is concerned? Next 4 to 5 years, what is it that we're envisaging? And for your own company, can you outdo the growth that the industry sees?
It's always good to be back. You see, the logistics sector typically grows at 1.5 times GDP growth. So as we've seen the last few years, GDP growth has been quite good, and hence we've seen that we've been able to, the sector has grown quite a lot as well. It is now employing more than 22 million people across, whether it is from the trucking side to warehousing to ships to railways. So it's a large sector, large services sector, which is really the backbone of the economy in many ways. The sector will continue to grow. I think there are lots of very strong tailwinds. Clearly, GDP growth is one of them, but there's also a lot of other changes that we are seeing. For example, the growth of quick commerce, the growth of certain sectors as consumption trends change, as India gets a China plus one strategy where more manufacturing shifts to India as well. So with all of those, there are massive amount of opportunities in the logistics sector, definitively for the next decade, if not longer. As a company, we are very focused on creating an integrated multimodal logistics solutions company. And we've gone a long way ahead in doing that. I think the factor here, most important factor, is how are we able to reduce the logistics costs for the country as a whole. And that makes us very competitive, not just domestically, but also internationally when we are exporting. And for that, one of the main reasons would be to move to multimodal as much as possible. That is, use less trucking, but more railways or more coastal shipping and so on. So we as a company have made a strategy where we've moved towards multimodal a lot. And a third of our revenues from virtually zero a few years ago is now coming from multimodal logistics. We intend to strengthen this going forward, as well as ensuring that we are building all the other capabilities around it, be it warehousing, be it cold chain logistics, be it any kind of specialized logistics.
Sure, Mr. Agarwal. Good afternoon. This is Vamakshi joining in. So you mentioned that the goal of the government is to bring down logistics cost as a percentage of the GDP. So currently for India, it's somewhere around 11 to 13% of the GDP. What is the kind of gap with the other countries, and when do you think this will narrow down?
There are several factors. I think in terms of the logistics cost, as I said, one of the more important factors is how do we move from something that is very highly intensive in terms of cost road to other modes of transport. That's one. The second is productivity improvement. I think that's an area where not just government, but even the private sector or everyone needs to do work. Today, if you send a truck to a factory, it actually sometimes is waiting for hours to be loaded or unloaded. If we see the throughput at the ports, it's improved substantially, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done if we compare to the other countries of the world. If you look at our railway loading and unloading, it's extremely slow. Even the average speed of a rail movement is about 20-ish kilometers an hour. So once we look at cost, we have to look at all the parameters, shift to multimodal, improve productivity, look at standardization. Today, if you see that trucks are not standardized or even the pallets are not standardized, that would go a big way. And last,
Right.
most importantly, is digitization. So today, the World Bank comes out with a report called the LPI, Logistics Performance Index, and we are at 38 number out in the world. This number needs to go up substantially. We made substantial improvements, but we still need to a lot of work more to move up that ladder.
Mr. Vineet, today we'll keep the conversation very short. We wish you all the best for FY26. We hope to bring you on the channel once again after the Q1 results are announced. Very interesting developments coming in as far as the logistics space is concerned, and this is one particular sector we need to keep a close eye out on. But we'll now slip into a short break. We'll get you more on the markets and focus in on IndusInd Bank, as sources suggest that the bank may get a new CEO soon. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Still tuned into Mid-Cap Radar, and the big story that we've been tracking for you here. Three key contenders emerging to take over as the CEO of IndusInd Bank. These include Rajiv Anand, currently the DMD of Axis Bank, who's set to retire from Axis in early August. Anup Saha of Bajaj Finance, who's recently been elevated to the position of Managing Director there. And the third one is Rahul Shukla of HDFC Bank, currently the Head of Commercial and Rural Banking at the bank and on a sabbatical as we speak. To discuss what this really means for IndusInd Bank and how the street will really view any of these three getting appointed as the next CEO of IndusInd Bank, I have with me Abizar Divanji, expert, joining us now to discuss this of Neostrat Advisors. Abizar, always a pleasure to have you. These three names, of course, this is still source-based and the names are yet to be submitted to the RBI. What do you make, of Rajiv Anand, Rahul Shukla or Anup Saha, being considered for the position, and how the street will view this?
The one good part is, as against the earlier restructured, so to say, banks, which is, say, Yes Bank or RBL, where we had a public sector person come in. If this news were to be true, then we are clearly looking at a private sector person coming and taking over IndusInd Bank as the MD and CEO. And I think that may be a good step considering where IndusInd is, because the franchise is alive. The business model needs a lot of governance changes. And as we had said earlier, I think the time that one needs to spend on governance will be far more, and governance will take a much forefront as against growth. But I think the difference here is that the private sector person coming in, I guess, will have its advantages in the sense that there will be a better focus on business growth also.
Okay, a private sector candidate will be seen as, better for the bank. But a quick word on, what the timeline of the appointment could be. In the past, we've seen RBI take anywhere between, 4 months to even 6 months to approve bank CEO names. Say in the case of Axis Bank, it was only 2 months, so it varies. But here we understand the bank has been in discussion with RBI already on the names, although it's not submitted the list yet. Could this expedite the process given the urgency of the situation here?
I personally think it will expedite the process simply because I think that the bank's management would have been, and the board especially, would have been in touch with the RBI on a fairly regular basis given the turmoil that it went through. And if that has been the case, I think there would have been a good understanding with RBI, and RBI's process would be much easier. The other thing is that all three of them have been in the bank financial services sector, having the same regulator. So the regulator clearly is aware and has a point of view on those people's track record already. It's not that you're getting somebody from the outside. So if that's not the case, and these are all reputed organizations, if you look at it. So at the end of the day, I think RBI would have a strong point of view, and it may not take as much time.
Well, but what is the possibility of RBI? Because we've seen this in the past. Sometimes boards do send out these lists of 3 candidates, and RBI has often sent it back for new names to be submitted. What is the possibility of that happening, given that the board has already discussed these names, at least we understand, informally with the regulator?
In my view, the names that would be submitted, I think, would in a way be bounced off RBI. So I think that the chances of rejection here seem minimal. And also, it's not in the interest of time for this bank not to have a CEO quickly. So I think the board would have been responsible enough to actually discuss it with RBI. RBI would have been responsive in terms of giving their views on the candidates. And I'm sure that when a list is submitted, it may be a mere formality.
A quick word, Abizar, before we let you go. Rajiv Anand is on his way out from Axis Bank, so that makes it easier for him. But what about Rahul Shukla, who's on a sabbatical, and especially Anup Saha, who's only just been elevated to the MD position at Bajaj? How easy or difficult will the transition be for either of them?
I think transition for each would be the same. It's a question of, they will obviously have their own times as to when they can come out. An immediately appointed MD obviously would have taken a much different view. But if you look at the other two, I think they would pretty much have the ability to join as soon as their appointments are made available. So I think that I don't think transition or even timelines will be an issue.
All right, Abizar, we leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us here with your insights on the three potential candidates for the IndusInd Bank CEO position. On that note, we're going to wrap up this special edition of Midcap Radar. Your stocks will take all the action forward, so stay tuned.